With hurricane season approaching, I thought I would start today's video here. 2 years ago, Hurricane Matthew came very, very close to making landfall in St. Augustine, Florida, only 35 miles offshore at one point as a Category 4. While Irma last year did more damage than Matthew did the year before, to Florida as a whole, this particular region took more of a punch from Matthew. Now, the reason I say that is if anything could be taken from that experience as a blessing, it would be this. The first thing we realized is that we have this wonderful town that pulled together, and regardless of differences or petty problems, when something like this happened, everybody got together, got on the same sheet of music. It was literally a shit hits the fan scenario. And this small town is amazingly close-knit. Would not want to live anywhere else if things were going to fall apart. And believe me, it was something that affected every single person. No one was immune from it. If anybody's been to St. Augustine and knows what they would be looking at here, this is how bad it was. I mean, this is normally a street that's lined with horses and carriages and cars and people walking around, and it's basically a giant swimming pool. This was the story from the air. This is an area called Davis Shores, just across the Bridge of Lions, and you just drove through and there were just stacks and stacks and stacks, houses completely gutted, hundreds, maybe thousands. Totally gutted from this. But one thing that was unexpected and that really took a lot of folks by surprise was at night you could see the Milky Way. There was this strange silence. And I remember we were laying in bed talking about it. How it just seemed odd. It wasn't that we could place what we weren't hearing, but we were definitely not hearing something. The silence was palpable and very, very noticeable. It was something that we hadn't experienced since we were kids. And it kind of dawned on me what it was. See, this story broke on a bunch of different outlets about these microwave attacks that happened in Cuba and China. See, initially they were reported as acoustic attacks, but the acoustic part of it was just the brain interpreting the microwave attack in a very strange way. And what makes this so strange is that people have laughed for years about the tinfoil hat types. Well, believe it or not, they actually would have been able to mitigate some of this, because I know thin sheets of aluminum will, zap in a microwave. Everybody's done that. But when you go and look into the different types of techniques that you use to protect yourself or to shield things from radio frequency and EM and microwave, it's amazing to see that these Faraday cages would play a great role, which really what a tinfoil hat is basically a poor man's version of a Faraday cage. Now, what you're looking at here, you would have to search for in Spanish language. We've been here before. It's been quite a while. It's called Armas Electrónicas. And of course, it's in Spanish. And it's www.armas-electronicas.net. And this website's been out here for quite some time, and it'll walk you through everything that you've been hearing about in Cuba. Everything. They have a YouTube site as well, and I've taken folks there. They have videos. This one here on the right, the 6 minute and 39 second one, pretty much explains all of it. But of course, nobody would know about it because this truly is shadow banning right here. Only 20 subs, and this only has 800 views, and it lays out in detail exactly the type of technology they're using, where they got it, and what they plan on doing with it. Now, I thought because people have come and said, why report a problem if you can't report the solution? Okay, well, there's stuff all over Amazon that you can get. I suppose the first thing you would have to identify is what you have around you that is causing you problems. This is an RF EMF meter. It's not cheap, but if you're going to worry about this kind of stuff, you're probably going to have to start making some decisions about the types of things that you're going to have in your life and what you're going to spend your money on. I've seen people spend 3 and 4 times this on a rifle. There is fabric that you can buy. This is $99 for 43 by 5 yards, 43 inch by 5 yards. EMF fabric kit, silver, nickel, copper coated. There is this EMF protective headgear. This is a little less expensive, $54.99. Would be something you could probably use right out of the box. Here's a much larger roll. This is 10 foot by 5 foot. Block silver. EMF protective netting. Attenuated 10 megahertz to 3 gigahertz. I'm sure it could probably be fashioned into a great many things. And it's a fairly old website based on just looking at the layout of it. It says around 2010, 2011. And I'll link this. It's educate-yourself.org/CN/microwave shielding 09 Jan 12.SHTML. And I'll see if I can zoom that close enough. I don't know why it says not secure, but it just is what it is. There you go. That should be long enough to pause. And here they give you a lot of great tips and techniques to shield rooms, and those little space blankets apparently you can use to shield with the whole worries about 5G coming up. Maybe not a bad idea to have something like this. Talks here about how to foil a smart meter, how to test your outlets, and a lot of links as well to things to help you, I guess, protect yourself, for lack of a better term here, from this. It was something that we noticed. It wasn't hard to notice that at night, even with people out and about and around doing things, there was no air conditioning. A few of us had generators and stuff, but we weren't really running them because it wasn't really all that unpleasant. After the hurricane passed that year, it was fairly cool. It was actually good sleeping weather. But we did notice this palpable silence of something that we could not put our finger on. And you could hear every little bird, every little critter. And it was very peaceful. And, when you looked up in the sky, you could see it. You could see the cloudy Milky Way pattern. And it was amazing to see. And of course, you would never want to wish an event like this to happen more than it does. But if there was ever anything that was positive, it was those couple of days without power. Staying cool was, of course, a challenge. And the folks that lost everything, I can't imagine, the things that they had to go through. But we were lucky. We didn't lose a lot. We just lost power for a few days and some cosmetic damage. But like I said, 2 years later, you wouldn't even know. So we'll leave it there. Just wanted to cover this issue that they just broke with the microwave attacks and where you could go to find out the real information about it. Like, share, subscribe.